20th, 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings to you out there, and thanks for joining us on today's episode of Well in Print on your Pan-African Media TV with me, Frida Igbesin. It is always with renewed delight that we come each day to commune with you, knowing that you are out there watching us with very keen attention. Please go nowhere, for we shall be right back just after the transition. Welcome back, beautiful people. If you are just tuning in, you are right on time. You are live on Pan-African Media TV, and the program on air is Well in Print. Well in Print, just to remind us, that is our bi-weekly program where we bring you news headlines as reported by newspapers around the globe, and come thereafter to dive into analysis, part of it with a defined guest that will be here to break down. We are going to dissect and break down news stories as we are getting them from the different parts of the world. I'm not alone in the house. I am in the house with Mr. Song and Derek. You're welcome, Derek.
Thank you very much, Egbesin. Greetings to the million viewers of Word in Print. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform and talk about very important things that affect the economy, Africans' economy, and the world economy at large. Hope the viewers will stay tuned and watch as we do justice to the topics.
Once more, thank you for coming. Beautiful viewers, just to remind you that Derek is a passionate professional with experience in human resource management, accounting, and database administration. He is also an active civil society advocate, committed to promoting community development, good governance, and youth engagement. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going straight to dive into our newspaper journey this morning. We are starting with the Times newspaper from the United Kingdom that captions this morning: Trump steps back from brink of bombing Iran. You know, Tehran gets 2 weeks approved to negotiate end of conflict with Israel. The report says that President Trump is looking for an off-run after advisors become concerned at Iran's ability to hit the U.S. base in the Middle East and kill American troops in retaliation for any military intervention from America. From that, we move to the Sun newspaper that captions: Trump, you have 2 weeks. The story says, the story written by Nick Parker holds that Donald Trump last night said he will make a declaration on if the U.S. is going to get involved in the conflict between Iran and the U.S. So he has given them 2 weeks to, of course, come to the discussion table. If not, he's going to make his stance known. From that, we move to Financial Times, which also headlines concerning the Israel and Palestine conflict that has been going on for a while, as captions: Trump raises prospect of Iran's talks and set countdown on joining war. You know, a lot is being said regarding the war or the conflict between Iran and Israel that has been destroying not just properties but human lives. So President Donald Trump for the moment has not made his stance known, but he has given 2 weeks calling for Iran to come on a dining table with Israel. So away from the UK, we are going to Donald Trump country itself, the United States of America, with the Seattle Times newspaper carrying as major caption: Iran leader warns US against joining airstrikes. Karan says Tehran won't surrender as Trump has demanded. Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Iran's supreme leader on Wednesday rejected U.S. calls for surrender in face of more Israel strikes and warned that any military involvement by the United States will have irreparable damages on the United States of America. From that, we move to the Minnesota Star Tribune. That headlines step hikes deep cuts on campus. The report says U passes $5.1 billion budget. In states tuition to rise by 6.5%. The University of Minnesota Board of Rights on Wednesday approved next year's budget with steep tuition hikes and academic cuts. Despite concerns from some students, faculties, and staffs that the spending plan will lead to fewer students and instructors. So away from the US, from one country to another, ladies and gentlemen, we move over to the Federal Republic of Nigeria with the Punch newspaper carrying as caption, President Tinubu to commission rail linking Mabushi with a Katumpe Judges Quarters area today, with Daily Trust carrying as main headline, Tinubu to choose running mate after convention presidency. The paper says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will choose his running mate for the 2027 presidential elections only after formally accepting the party's nominated persons during its convention in 2026. The presidency is person in charge of information and, of course, strategy disclosed this in his exclusive interview with Daily Trust. From Nigeria, we move over to neighboring Cameroon with the Guardian Post newspapers on its Thursday's edition carrying as caption, 2025 presidentials, sizing up possible opposition coalition leader. Report says that this year is a crucial one for Cameroon as the country will be holding a decisive presidential election in October. The election is supposed to hold 1 month before the incumbent head of state, President Paul Biya, clocks 43 years in power. In a build up to the decisive election, which can make or mar the future of the country, the paper says tension that is already mounting within the political arena. There have been calls for the opposition to form a coalition that can have the force to sweep the CPDM candidate off his feet. While the Voice newspaper on its today's edition headlines, October presidential elections carried out, Biya's fortunes keep dwindling. The paper says rare cracks emerge from home-based South region. Calls for opposition unity to intensify. You say, let's round up with today's edition of the Guardian Post, captioning again concerning the presidential election, and it says 2025 presidential elections. Will Biya survive growing rebellion from within? Ladies and gentlemen, this is our newspaper roundup. We shall dive into the analytical part of it just after the transition, so go nowhere. Welcome back, beautiful people. If you are just joining us, you haven't missed a lot. We just had a newspaper roundup, and of course we are diving into the analytical part of it just now. First of all, before we start, I want to ask our guest of the day, Derek. You know, a lot has been happening between Israel and Palestine, situations which cannot leave any person indifferent. So before we dive into what the papers have captioned as headlines, what do you think, or what do you make of such confrontation between these two powers?
I think it's just showing the degree of inhumanity, the human aspect of life is being swallowed up, and we take a lot of pleasure in the death of others. We are living in a world where we need collaboration and not competition, and where we are now is showmanship of power. And sadly enough, those who are suffering are the innocent, because the houses that have been brought down, burned down, the people that are being killed, they are sad enough, they are not military personnel who are vowed to defend the nation. The missiles are launched in open air, and anybody, whether you're a passerby, whether you're a citizen of the warring nation, you are a victim. So it's sad, and we can only say from our own parts that we call on restraint and possible dialogue, because dialogue is the best we can do. We cannot keep losing the best of our resources, which is the human resource, to the hands of a war that is negotiable, a war that we can stop and fix things and make them work.
And this still brings to question the level of communication. You're saying everything communication is important. Maybe if people prioritize talking things out before taking certain actions, the world could be a better place.
Definitely, you know that the Israel-Palestine war, the Iran war, it's a war that it's not a today's war. They have always had Cold War. There's always been fighting. And in this, with the advent of technology, there's a lot of showmanship of technological war. Remember when the Russia-Ukraine war started, Putin needed to tell the world that he was ready to fight by bringing out Saturn 2 to tell people that if they joke, he can use that to destroy the whole of Ukraine and the world in no time. So there's a lot of showmanship of war ammunition, and this technological war, you know, during the World War I and World War II, soldiers fight and they get tired. And when soldiers fight, they get tired, they could even talk to themselves, they could negotiate. But the missiles that we launch in the air this time around, they don't talk to each other. The missiles are there to destroy. The missiles are there to break. The missiles are there. They don't communicate. And remember, since we started hearing, we just hear that Israel has launched missiles into the air. Iran has launched missiles into the air. 640,000 people have died. This person has retaliated. So it's more of a technological war where the parties are fighting to show who is
superiority in technology, something of that sort.
Yes, you know, technology, the showman of technology. That's why in one of the newspapers I read, you hear the fact that US is uncomfortable with China bringing turbines for UK.
Because it warned.
Yes, it's because there is technological insecurity, and by China doing that, they are showing that they have a superiority, and US must want to show that they too have that superiority. It's like I said, we are in a technological age where somebody can sit in his country and send a bomb to another continent and sit, and the destruction is done without necessarily having its own citizens involved, but for those who are sitting behind the computer. And that is where we come to say those who are suffering the pinch are not the soldiers who are vowed to defend the nation. They are the innocent citizens who in their sleep get taken unaware. In one of the attacks that were launched, I watched a lady who was on TV presenting the news, talking about the launching when the TV house was being attacked at the moment. So we know that war is initiated by people who know each other, but it is fought by people who don't even know themselves. It is suffered by people who did not subscribe for that. Because let's say the leader of Iran or the leader of Israel.
Yeah.
They are seated somewhere, being guided
Protected.
by, very protected, because the soldiers are protecting, the technology is built around them. But those innocent civilians who are on the street, those who get up in the morning, they pray to God to get their daily bread, they are being killed. Sad enough, our leaders, African leaders, world leaders, they use their citizens like guinea pigs for experiments.
Honestly, guinea pigs for experiments. And this, we are happy that technology is growing, the world is moving, it's a technological world. And now when we look at these things happening, like we were saying, somebody could just sit somewhere behind a machine and you send missile to destroy somewhere. Is this technology coming for our good, for the good of humanity, or coming to pinpoint on evil to perpetrate?
No, I think the discussion on technology and its effect, everything has a positive
and a negative
effect. The phones we have, they are good, but people use it to do negative things. So it depends on what we subscribed to do. There is no way. The last time I was on your panel, I made mention that there is no way we are keeping aside technology.
No way.
There is no way we are denying the existence of technology. But the know-how of technology came to better the life of humanity. And if God has blessed us to discover things that will make life better, we should not discover things that will destroy the very essence of life. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if you read your history books, they say they are yet to recover from bombs that were launched in this state. Just imagine that the technology we have to use to build, to protect human life, to make human life better, to make it worth living, to do medical discovery and other things, we are using that very technology to destroy the world that we are supposed to build. It's initially, I know not everybody believes in God Almighty, but everybody believes there is God somewhere in whatever they worship. But in humanity, we see man in man, not man on man. Yeah. But what we are seeing now is man living on man, not man living in man. For me to look at you and know that you are a brother, you are a sister. We may speak different languages, but we are one creation created by God for a purpose. But we are destroying the very purpose that God created. And technology is a gift in our hands, and that gift should be used to better humanity, to better life, to better the world, to make the world plurable. At first, remember they used to say the people who say around the world, they took a lot of time because technology was not as sophisticated as it is now. But today we have ship very big ship that will go through the water. We have aeroplanes. It is technology for the service of man, not technology for the disservice of humanity.
All right, let's go back now to the newspapers. We start with the Times newspaper, which was the first newspaper we looked at. And we see that when we look at the newspapers, most of news has evolved around the Israel, Iran, the US, people questioning if the US is going to get involved. And Donald Trump says in other papers, I may not. And in another, he says he gives them 2 weeks to stand. His position is not yet taken yet. I want to ask, I was following an interview of the leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, where he says Donald Trump should do what is good for Americans and he will do what is good for the Israelites. Now I'm asking, what is this thing around Donald Trump or about the US joining the war? When the Iran-Israel war was starting, I don't want to believe that Donald Trump gave the okay for the war to start. And now what is like? Everything is evolving about Donald Trump giving his stance. Is it that important for Donald Trump to give a stand, or is it going to change anything in the course of the fight?
You know, the politics of war is a politics of power. It's a politics of supremacy. Where Donald J. Trump is standing, he's making declarations to show that he too will have a say.
Yeah.
And where we are heading to, we might be heading to a third world war if that has to continue. Because why Donald Trump may want to side with maybe one of the
parties,
the
the conflicting parties.
China may want to be on the opposite direction. Japan want to be somewhere. Russia want to be somewhere else. And at the end, we will want to plunge the world into a war they are not prepared to fight. This is just a dangerous moment in the global scene that is telling the world that we need talking, we need communication more than fighting. Because where I stand sadly is that while Israel, Iran will be fighting, the prices of goods and services will be increasing. Brent in Cameroon. In Cameroon, while Ukraine and Russia are fighting, the price of flour is increasing in Cameroon. But with the Israel-Palestine war, you will understand that this one will affect directly the oil money. It will affect the prices of a lot of fuel in the market, and it's going to have that turnaround effect. It's going to be an all-round effect. So Donald Trump ping pong game of I may not is just a show. He just wants to demonstrate his power, his supremacy, and calling on the people to. I think there is this thing in negotiation. When you are negotiating, we are negotiating and mitigating laws, not negotiating to show that you are powerful. Because in this world now, the moment you show that you have more power, the other person wants to show that they have power. Look at Russia, Ukraine. Who would have accepted or agreed that small Ukraine,
stand the test of time,
would have resisted Russia to this time? Despite the fact that there are a lot of destruction, but Ukraine has shown that
they stood their ground.
They are strong enough to compete in world politics. But those who are losing their lives, we will never get them back.
Never.
Tomorrow, when the leaders decide to sit on the table, the problem with wars is that wars always end where they would have started. What do I mean by wars always end where they would have started?
Negotiation.
Yes. Wars always end on a table, whereas they should have started from that table to discuss and before getting to the extreme. So Donald Trump's words of I give 5 days, I give 2 days, I give 1 week is not necessary, and that is where we start questioning, where is the EU? When you have association, the European Union, to better the lives of maybe its member states and member countries. When we have the NATOs, you have the EU, you have other blocks. During this time, it is time for the blocks to call their members to order. Because war is something. Remember, after the First World War, there was a vow that it would never repeat. And Second World War, it got more devastating than the First World War, because after that, technology had advanced. This time we are in a technological age, and the level of destruction we are going to have is going to take us hundreds of years to regain if the war has to persist. America, if they have to prove that they are a world power, they should go. You don't go to the negotiation table by supporting a party. You go to the you go to the negotiations table. You have to be neutral, and your neutrality means you are bringing the two parties to the table, knowing that in the world the right to life is sovereign. The right to life is universal. And if Israel is taking the life of Iranians, then they are violating a right. Same as if Iran is taking the life of Israelites, they are violating the right to life. It's a universal right that is violated. Therefore, it is time for both of them to come to the table to deny totally that these lives matter and the lives should be protected at its best. Not supporting one party and calling maybe for a party we think is a lesser power to bow.
Yes, and talking about Donald J. Trump asking the other party to bow, to surrender, in the CETA times, you see the Iranian leader saying that they are not ready to do that. You see, say they won't surrender as Donald Trump has asked them to surrender. So you see, Donald Trump wants to say, they too say, you cannot tell us what to do.
Yeah, in their words, like he said, that Donald Trump should do what is good
Yes.
for America.
For Amer-
He would do what is good for his citizens. That is politics. Politics is interest.
Yeah.
They want to protect their interests. America wants to show that it is a world power.
Oh.
But my worry is this: whether at the end one of them show that they are a world power, those who will suffer at the end of it, mind you that those who will sit on the table to negotiate will still be the Israel leader and the Palestine leader. But those citizens who have died will not be on the table to negotiate. That is where we say that the point of humanity is very important. And if human lives matter to them, they should end this war where they should have started. They should sit on the table. What are they fighting for? I know there is self-interest. I know there is supremacy crisis. I know there is religious differences. But the religious differences, the same blood that runs through the veins of a Muslim is the same blood that runs through the veins of a Christian or of a Buddhist, of a pagan, or whosoever. And that blood is sacred.
Very sacred.
That blood is sacred. And we need to respect that, because humans cannot do that. Let us just respect the opinion of one another. It should not be at the level of fighting, if not about at the level of I saw a video on social media of little children running for safety because they had launched missiles in the air. Imagine you sit and you are seeing death coming, and they were running helter-skelter to a building. Suppose that with the coming of technology, and the opponent sees that, okay, this is where many people are hiding, and they want to cause more of casualty, they will still launch it. So in this world of technology, we don't run away from, we negotiate to stop war, not because it is our situation where we turn to pamper the causes, and then now we negotiate with the consequences. No, let us know that every war has consequences. Let us rather be proactive rather than reactive. We should prevent them from happening rather than for it to happen, and we start looking at the consequences, and we cannot turn back the hands of time.
All right, thank you for that intervention. So we'll move now to the Minnesota Star Tribune. Minnesota Star Tribune is talking about, the headline says, steep hikes, deep cuts on campus. You know, the report is saying that the school board of rights sat and adopted a bill, a budget for next year, and in this budget that has been adopted, the school tuition is going to witness an increase of 6.5%, something which has not gone down well, maybe on students, on faculties, because it's going to have an effect. Now, this way I want to look at it. If they're adding if the tuition is to increase by 6.5%, do you think, you know, mostly foreign students, migrants who come to study abroad bring a lot? Do you think this one is going to favor mostly those that are coming, or maybe those that are also coming from elsewhere? Tuition could be added to for the finances to increase the money entering into the country.
No, you know, anything increase is detrimental to the consumer.
Yeah.
And to foreign students, 6.5% to home students may mean literally nothing to them. For instance, let's say 6.5% of $100 is $6.5, which would take them to $106. But 6.5% to a foreigner paying from our currency has an effect, because mind you that our brothers and sisters live here and they study out of the country, and a semester may sometimes cost up to 5 million francs CFA.
Times more than.
Yes, 5 million francs at times. I'm talking about a semester.
Yes.
That is something. That is an amount that we can school in Cameroon from secondary school to university with that amount. But Yeah, if you take 5 million, you divide by 50,000, you can imagine how many students that's going to send in school. But our worry is, well, the individuals. This is about a country.
Yeah,
it's
they
not
are
about
still
what is happening.
complaining, yes.
So the students will definitely complain. Anything that has to do with you spending,
Increment, yeah.
you have to complain. But those who are taking the decisions should have a reason, a raison d'etre of why they are taking the decision, and they should have carried out an analysis of the possible effects and the way the effects of what was and what is, and know that what is now will not give detrimental effect to what was, and especially to the citizens in question. With foreign students, we will always be at the losing end, because we negotiate in foreign currency. Even if they say it's $6 and tomorrow they say $1 is 1,000, we are the ones still making the loss, because our currency will be pursuing. Maybe imagine you take 1,000 francs in Cameroon, go to US, and US they have to give you $1. $1. You take 10,000 francs, you go there, they give you $5. It's very, very heavy, disheartening.
Yeah. All right. I want us to creep to Cameroon. You know, we have 3 newspapers this morning coming from Cameroon, and we have 2 copies of the Guardian Post newspaper. We shall start with the first Guardian Post newspaper that's talking of they say on this, so the Guardian Post is captioning 2025 presidential elections, sizing up possible opposition coalition. You see, in front of us we have a list of heads of opposition political parties in Cameroon who have still not decided to come on a coalition. Now, you have pundits who are saying that for the opposition to succeed to sweep off the CPDM in the upcoming elections, they need to choose one of them as a leader of the opposition party. They should form a coalition and choose one person. Do you see them doing this, despite all the calls of Cameroonians that they should choose one person to stand?
Well, we might not see them doing it, and we shouldn't have expected that we are going to see them doing it. It is the call of the people. Sometimes I get a little disturbed with politicians, because the call of a coalition has echoed from 2024 or back from 2023 till now. The people are still calling for coalition. But what I see in sister TV station when I sit on the panel with, you will realize that those who are into the politics, because from us we speak from the civil society, when you tell them that, please, can you form a coalition, they will tell you that you are not a politician. You don't understand the heat on ground. You don't understand the bottlenecks and everything. Everybody wants to be president, but they forget to know that not everybody will serve this country in the capacity of a president. We need one president at a time. And we will go back to say that we may not expect them to form a coalition, but that is what the civil society, that is what the majority of the electorate, if you are electorate, people who are supposed to vote for you, keep calling and telling you that, please form a front, become one person and get our vote. And then you give us, how many of them are there? Let's take for instance 5 political party: MRC, PAP, SDF, the now movement of Mr. Akere and whatever. Let's put 5 of them. If 5 political parties cannot manage political ideology among 5 of them, are you sure they'll be able to manage the 300 ethnic differences that we have in Cameroon? It's a food for thought. So we have one common problem, and the problem is that Cameroonians are suffocating. Cameroonians are dying. In Nigeria, you have the Japa syndrome. In Cameroon, you have the bush falling syndrome. And this bush falling syndrome is not because Cameroon does not have what it takes to make it better. It is because the power in Cameroon has been held hostage. it is true, we can say it, beating our chest, that Cameroon is on wheelchair. Cameroon is on wheelchair. The tripartite leadership of Cameroon is not moving.
Not going.
And if the leaders cannot work, you will not expect a country to work. How can you imagine that the three most powerful people in a country, from the presidency to the Senate to the National Assembly, all of them, the list is 88 years old, leading a population whose average age is 19 or 20 years? It's not evident. And if the opposition don't sit together as one to see that their common enemy is a system that has crashed, their common enemy is a system that is based on no accountability, embezzlement, corruption, and how will I put it? Let's put it like merit. Merit is not there. If you don't look at it that is your enemy, and you feel like it is about you being the president, it's about you changing the status quo, and it is only about you being the president, then we are not going to survive. Our enemy is a system. Let's take out CPDM,
yes,
because there's no difference between the government and the CPDM. The government and the CPDM in Cameroon is one. So that is our problem. How do you take out the rotten system? Form a coalition, come together, so that if Mr. Akere Muna has Barrister Akere Muna has supporters in the northwest where he comes from, they will get behind him. If Professor Maurice Kamto has supporters from Littoral and has supporters from the west region, they will stand behind him. If Joshua Osi has supporters, maybe where he is governor, and from the southwest region where he's coming from, he will garner supporters from there, and all of them, they know that if they come with their voices, I know that people like no, I'm not talking about leaders in the presidential race, like Kawala, Edith Kaban Kawala, they have a voice. The Michel Ndoki, if they come together and form this, we have young leaders like Fabrice Lena, of the Now Our Future movement, where he's building youth to take the future into their hands. Those are people that if they present a good candidate, they are already having the grassroots of the youth. We have civil society movement. They have the grassroots. They present one single candidate. Cameroonians will be willing to put their life at stake for that transition to happen. But if you feel like you will win as an individual candidate, we want to announce to you that it is fail on arrival.
Failed before then. Okay, we move over to the Voice newspaper. I'm still talking about elections, but now looking towards a different direction. The Voice on today's newspaper says headline: presidential corridor is saying that the paper says there are cracks from the south region where President Paul Biya comes from, and it's the main elite. You know, when we talk about the south region and we talk about the CPDM, we talk about President Paul Biya, you know that is his fear, like we say in French. I hail from the southwest, and automatically, though it's not usually in 100%, you cannot say everybody from a region cares for you, but we have seen this in the past, that the south region is one of President Biya's, greatest stronghold, because it's a region of origin is from there. Now you have insiders who are against him, vying for the post of president again. Now you have cracks, so they are even calling for the opposition also to unite. Now let's look again about this issue of unity. Even people who were for the regime in place, for the CPDM, are turning their back and calling for these opposition leaders in Cameroon to, intensify unity. This call of unity, what really can be done to make these people see it with the eyes that it is inherent for them to stand as one?
I'm not a politician anyway, but in some political jargons, they say there is no permanent friend and there is no permanent enemy. We've listened to people who are in the system talk about the system and ask, see, any house, no matter how solid a house is, it cannot stand forever.
Yeah.
There will come a time that it cannot stand again.
Yeah, when the center can no
And
longer hold the margin.
the CPDM is being destroyed by the very architect. So they know why. They already know that there are cracks inside the house. And given that 2025 in Cameroon should be a transitional moment, they too wants to fix that. If there is a transition, they too will not be. They want to fix the other part. That's politics.
Of course.
You see that the boat is sinking, and then you start asking for a life jacket from who has that life jacket. But let us not sleep.
Yeah.
Let us not sleep.
It may still be.
Yes, there is still that. It may still be maybe another political agenda for them to push outside to show people that the CPDM is not as strong as they think again, and then they will stay disunited. Because if CPDM has been strong, CPDM has been strong because it is united.
Yeah.
And because it is united, this time around that there seems to be disunity, it should be a catalyst for the opposition to rather unite their force and fight a divided house. But if the opposition feel like, oh, CPDM is breaking, they are scattering one after the other, we are going to still stand one on one. Let me tell you something. If you take 100% and you divide among, even if opposition can struggle, because in this country they have never done that, except in the purported 90 elections, where it is purported that the Nijon won and it was stolen. But after that, Mr. Biya has calculatively taken the election with percentage on landslide victory. Remember, in 2018, he had 78% of the vote, and 22 other political parties had to share 21 point something percent. Just imagine that even if, as at 2018, all those political parties come together, they are just going to have 21% of votes to distribute, or if they join their force together, they have just that percentage. That's to show you that he wins calculatively. That even if you guys come together, you will not still claim that you won. But come together, and then if we believe that these elections were rigged, and you too, you believe that there has been a rigging machine, then the electorates are calling. Who are those to give you the power? It is those who have the voters' card. And that's where I have issues too with all those that are being pulled by Professor Maurice Kamto. If Professor Maurice Kamto is inviting or is having a meeting and a rally somewhere, this is my advice and this is my wish, this is my request. All those who are going out, march with your voters' card up to show that you have that card and you have a voice. Because majority of those people who go out,
go to make noise.
They go to make noise, and they may end up not having voters' cards.
Not having a voice.
Yes, they don't have the vote. So if you are going out during a rally invited by an opposition, go out with your voters' card, talk with your voters' card, tell the military or the police officers who are there that you have your voters' card, you have a voice. But if you are just going out because there is just another rally and you just want to go out, let social media see you, then we are not helping Cameroonians. Very soon, they are going to call for the Elecam to stop registration. It takes you just 2 minutes with your ID card to have a voter's card. Get your voter's card, vote for change. Because if you cannot vote for change, then you should not complain about stagnancy, since you don't have the card to vote.
You know, another thing that's also prohibiting people from registering is lack of identity card. Even in the new system, is still a problem because they are decrying it in the parliament. So what can those who possibly do not have identity cards do? How will
I think we should not even talk about the new system. I think Cameroonians should, the leaders of Cameroon need to apologize to Cameroonians. The Ministry of Defense, who came out, promised Cameroonians that after 48 hours, we will have our ID cards. The system is more porous than the former. I know of people, since they did their ID cards, they have not been printed. I have an ID card that was done since 2020. It's not coming. and you still have those bottlenecks. Now those that were done in 2023, they tell you they are printing it through the new system, and we still don't have it. There are still bottlenecks. The price has been multiplied by 3. People now pay 10,000 before other documentations, but the people do it and the ID cards still don't come. I think we cannot be in a country where our identification is questionable. Sad enough, you are walking the street, you show an ID to a police officer, the police. On my way to Boya, I had the receipt of my ID, and I show it to a police officer, and he said it has expired. And I asked him, Monsieur, c'est la faute de qui? Who made it expire? I didn't make it. And I look into his eyes and say, c'est vous qui me doit. You are the one who owes me, because you don't make an ID card, you give me and tell me that I should come and take my original good 3 months from now. 3 months you stamp and extend, and then you have still the same police officer who hold you on the way to tell you that your ID card has expired. It is saddening, and we feel like those who are responsible, the system has failed us, and we cannot be in a country where basic identification card is a problem to get. But you can pay 170,000 and get a passport in 48 hours.
Yeah, I had my passport in 48 hours.
Yes.
I knew this new system for identification.
I had my passport in 48 hours, and the passport is a whole booklet.
Yeah.
A passport is a whole booklet having another card inside that looks the same like the identity. In fact, it is the identity card in the passport. Why don't we get that system and make it work for citizens? It is sad, and I think our leaders are failing us purposefully because they plan to frustrate. But the time for change has come, and everybody needs to wake up and stand and fight for that change.
All right. So we take this last copy of the Guardian Post newspapers, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to go through some of the things they have written. Today's issue of the Guardian Post captions: 2025 presidential, will Biya survive growing rebellion from within? Now, let me go and state, they say South Region elite denounces 42 years of misery, call for sanction vote against CPDM. CPDM councillor drags Biya to court, urges Elekam to block candidature. 3. Grand North CPDM, Biya. Grand North CPDM big wigs warns it is time for Biya to retire. Now, UNDP party big wigs, we will not support Bello if he gives in to alliance with Biya. A lot is coming there. Now they say key ally Issa Chiroma Bakari rebels against Biya, urges supporters to vote against 42 years of misery. Now I come to ask this question, Derek. When we look at the CPDM and all what has happened, because this is a declaration that was made, we'll talk about the South region by elite of the South region. In literature, they say things fall apart when the center can no longer hold the margin. Can we say things are falling apart for the CPDM because the center can no longer hold the margin?
Well, there is always a time when things have to fall apart and the center can no longer hold. You cannot give your father in the house, Egbesin, you cannot give your father who is 60 years old or 70 years old a bucket to carry and climb climb upstairs with. You cannot feel comfortable entering a car that is driven by somebody who is 80 years old. You will not be comfortable. Then why are we not comfortable on public transport driven by 80-year-old drivers, but we are comfortable to give a whole country to a 93-year-old person? That is, in fact, it's an irony that we cannot place. Whatever the case, those who are coming out and talking, this is my plea. I hope you are not just looking for bags of money. So that when the bags of money will exchange hands, you will come back singing the praise.
Yeah.
One journalist on a sister TV, national TV, came out to say that we are in safe hands as long as Mr. Biya is the president of the country. The ship is sailing to safer shores.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I ask myself, biology, normal biology for those who didn't even read, the way people grow from children to adults, and when you are an adult, you now think like a child. How can, in fact, this is my take. All those, I don't know in our constitution if euthanasia is a criminal offense.
It should be.
If euthanasia is a criminal offense, then this is my take. All those who are supporting Mr. Bia's candidature are practicing silence and open euthanasia.
Mercy killing.
And if it is a crime, they should be punished. You cannot allow it. You cannot see a man who has served the nation for 60 years or more of his life. He has given 60 years for Cameroon, working for Cameroon, and you don't want him to rest. Why are you that wicked? Why are you wicked that a man who has served you for 60 years, you cannot allow him to rest?
Maybe now it's
and
for
you
their
want
selfish
him
interest.
to die. That is wickedness. How are people that wicked? So anybody who is supporting that Mr. Biya should run again is practicing euthanasia. He hates Cameroon, and that person too, we want to tell you are not a patriot, because a father, our grandfather, some people's great-grandfather, who has served the nation for 60 years, more than half a century, you don't want him to rest. They are weighing him off.
Please
weigh him out. Allow him rest. Let that man go back to Vomenka. Let him go back to his village and sleep in that house that he has built too now. You too, when you work, they retire you. Go, let him go and rest. You cannot be that wicked to keep a president who has given all his life for the country. It is not good.
It's like we want to hold him spellbound.
Yes, and then, like I said, Egbesin, those people in the north, those people from Mr. Bia's origin, and those other people, I just hope that they are not waiting for checks to exchange hands and they come back singing. I hope they are not just talking so that Mr. Biya will see that there is tension and then come. Because Cameroon has been balkanized. What do I mean? Cameroon has been divided in a way that those who support Mr. Biya is not an act of love.
Yeah,
it is because, yes, it's because it's selfish. Why? How do you explain that every year the parliament sits, parliamentarians sit, they vote budget and they tell you that this is 100 billion for roads. At the end of the year, the parliamentarians will still come, the minister of public work will still come, and we don't see roads, but the budget is finished. So this is what I think. Cameroon has been divided in a way that as long as you are not eyeing the presidency, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Even Operation Sparrowhawk. Yeah. Operation Sparrowhawk go for those who are looking the wrong direction. Once you are chopping and looking at the direction you should look and singing the praises of who you should praise, they don't look at you. They only punish those who eye the big seat and those who chop state's money. Silence. How do you explain that? Somebody will be having billions stocked in the house. Are you a bank? Some banks running capital are not even up to $1 billion. Yeah. But somebody will have billions stocked in a room, hard currency, CFA, dollars, in a room, in a country
where people are dying of hunger.
Nothing is done. And then finally, see, I guess let me analyze something I've always said.
Right.
Maybe we're out of time.
No, just do your analysis.
There is a problem that there is something we don't know in Cameroon and maybe Africa. One of the greatest cankerworm that we have is the issue of corruption and bad leadership. I want to tell you that if you take your calculator and you punch very well, if a minister has embezzled 1 billion in this country, 1 billion, that 1 billion means that if you go and keep that 1 billion francs in the bank, and you are not working, if somebody gives you that 1 billion like a citizen and you decide that you will not work, you keep it in the bank, every month you can spend 1.5 billion and you can spend it for at least 60 plus years.
1.5 million every year.
Yes, every month. Sorry. Every month there is a possibility for you to go take maybe 1.2 million and then you spend it for at least 70 years. 60 to 70 years before that money gets finished. Imagine that somebody embezzles 10 billion, 12 billion, like the Cameco scandal of the person who embezzled and is not even in the country. Imagine that somebody embezzled that kind of money. And how much do they pay workers in Cameroon? It means if you are taking 1.2 million every month, that means if you have workers, you are paying them 100,000 each.
Yeah.
You have 12 workers that you can pay every month. Every month, 12 workers you can pay every month for 70 years. So they are embezzling our future. They are embezzling because every embezzlement is an unconstructed hospital. It is a road project that did not go through. There are citizens that are being killed, and we feel like the criminals we have are those working with guns. No. Our real criminals in Africa and in Cameroon are seated in air-conditioned offices with suits imported. They embezzle money that kills citizens, but they are not looked upon as criminals. But that little mama, that little boy, whose future has been embezzled, whose future has been squeezed, who is caught trying to get banana to eat in Marché Central,
mob justice,
will be given mob justice. Whereas those who need mob justice are seated, protected in offices. Please, Cameroonians, it is time for us to rise.
Yeah.
October should be our answer. I know it is difficult, but there's a difference between impossibility and difficulty. Once we know it is difficult, effort can make it work.
Yeah.
The first effort, get your voters card. The second effort is that vote against the system. Vote for a new system, and a new system will come, and that person will be announced anytime you feel, or any person you feel that this is the right person as your instinct leads. Vote for that person, but not this same system.
Wow, Derek, you finally given me your last word before I act. So you still look into the camera and talk to the Cameroonian youth. You know, that should be our point every day. We are 4 months to the elections. So please, a last word for the youth out there watching us.
Dear Cameroonian youths, we understand that our future has been mortgaged. Our future has been sold. But nobody can fight for that future to get it back. I understand that we are frustrated to the level where the only solution is for us to fall bush. But if you have plans to fall bush after October, get your voters card. That is a trump card we have now. It is the voters card. For the system and our leaders, those who are in power, those that we have borrowed power for them to use, and they are protecting the power rather than protecting those who gave them the power. Time is ticking. Correct it. If you were embezzling these funds and even investing in our countries, it would have even been a little better. But you steal the funds, keep it idle in Swiss banks, keep it idle and invest it in foreign countries, increase the income and the GDP of other countries, while our own GDP is dwindling. Dear leaders, if you are our leaders, you were the ones to put your life on platter, not using our lives like experiment. You cannot be chosen to lead the people and you use the people like experiment. For our youth, we have said, it is our future that is mortgaged, and we must stand up as one to change that future. Like I said, and I always say, if you do not vote, voting does not make you a politician. It's a civic responsibility, not making you a politician. If you do not vote, do not complain. Get your voters card, register, and vote come October 2025. It is our future to change, and that change starts by registering. Please get your voters card and have your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Odoric. It's always awesome having you on set, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it all. We've cruised the world from Israel, Iran, UK, Nigeria, and of course we rounded up with Cameroon. So you heard it from Derek. Cameroonian youth, arise, go register, and of course ensure that come October you vote, because your vote counts and your voice will count only after you must have voted. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we call it quit on today's broadcast of our Well in Print. Please make sure that you go nowhere for more exciting, even exciting programs are on the way. You're going to have Clarice Widoven at 4 p.m. with Global Insight. And of course, for those of you who cannot be there to watch us live on TV, you can follow us on our social media platforms. You follow us on Facebook at Pan African Media TV. You have us on YouTube, Pan African Media TV. Go to Instagram, Pan African Media TV, and what have you. This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition. Until we meet you come Monday, please do have a pleasant weekend ahead. Until then, ciao ciao.